This morning we're in Joshua chapter 18. We will be emphasizing the first 10 verses. It's Joshua 18, starting in verse 1 and running through verse 10. And God's word reads, Then the whole congregation of the people of Israel assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of the meeting there. The land lay subdued before them. They remained among the people of Israel 7 tribes whose inheritance had not yet been apportioned. So Joshua said to the people of Israel, How long will you put off going in to take possession of the land, which the Lord, the God of your fathers, have given you? Provide 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out that they may set out, go up and down the land. They shall write a description of it with a view to their inheritances, and then come to me. They shall divide it into 7 portions. Judah shall continue in his territory on the south, and the house of Joseph shall continue in their territory on the north. And you shall describe the land in 7 divisions, and bring the description here to me. And I will cast lots for you here before the Lord our God. The Levites have no portion among you, for the priesthood of the Lord is their heritage. And Gad and Reuben and the half-tribe of Manasseh have received their inheritance beyond the Jordan eastward, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, has given them. So the men arose and went, and Joshua charged those who went to write a description of the land, saying, Go up and down the land and write a description and return to me. And I will cast lots for you here before the Lord in Shiloh. So the men went and passed up and down in the land and wrote in a book a description of it by towns in 7 divisions. Then they came to Joshua to camp at Shiloh. And Joshua cast lots for them in Shiloh before the Lord. And there Joshua apportioned the land to the people of Israel, to each his own portion. Joshua has been given the task of being a leader of the children of Israel. We have seen him be that battle hero, a battle warrior, planning, strategizing through God's intervention to deliver them from such great cities as Jericho and Ai and so many others. It had taken its toll on this young country, young nation. You can only imagine. It would be tiring. It was difficult. They struggled. At times they obeyed what God had told them, and at other times, wasn't complete disobedience. But slight disobedience is still disobedience. At times they struggled to drive out the inhabitants of the land. The whole time God operated and orchestrated and brought them into this new home, the promised land. Now, a few tribes have received their share of the promised land. Judah, territory in the south, they got it. Gad and Reuben have land east of the Jordan before crossing truly into the promised land, and half tribe of Manasseh has some there as well. Then the 2 sons of Joseph, they have their properties in the north. And you remember last week? Remember Manasseh? Things didn't go quite the way he wanted. He thought he got shortchanged. We're a great people, a numerous people, and yet our land is just that. Joshua took his words seriously. He encouraged that tribe to get out and cut down the forest to expand their territory. There's always something to be said about hard work. And that's where we pick up here. Now, the first thing that we'll notice has changed is the headquarters is no longer at Gilgal, but they have moved to Shiloh. And the whole congregation of the people of Israel assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of the meeting there. The land lay subdued before them. Scenery has changed. Shiloh is now the main campground, and the land has been subdued. I am in a hurry to get everything in, and I'm speaking quicker than I can. The land is subdued. Why is that important? It's important for you to know that because not only is this going to be the main headquarters, Shiloh will become a head for worship of the holy God. See, they're setting up the tent of the meeting. This is their holy place. This is their church. This was their temple before they could have a temple. It's crucial that we hear that because we know that God is being worshiped there. We know that Joshua is walking in a proper relationship with God because Joshua is about to show leadership in this chapter and the next chapter. You see, we know Joshua to be a great leader because of the way he has responded to problems. Manasseh presents him with a problem. He does what many of us do. On the fly, he comes up with an answer and he gives it. Anyone ever done that? Oh, yeah. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it works out well. Especially if we remain calm and cool and composed. If we're a little excited or irritated, sometimes it doesn't come out all that well. Sometimes if we're hurt or angry, we lash out when we really shouldn't, and we say things that we really, truly regret. Here we're going to see Joshua has learned from his past experience with the tribe of Manasseh, and he sets about a plan. There at Shiloh remained among the people of Israel the 7 tribes whose inheritance has not been apportioned. In the original Hebrew, there is a conjugation that shows that there has been a significant amount of time has passed. This isn't we've just stopped warring. We've just taken the land and now we need to divide it up. Time has drug on. They must have been Baptist. See, they had a big event. They declared war on the Promised Land, on Canaan, and they marched in and they eventually took it. And, well, you know, when we have big events, what do? Let's play and talk a little bit. We eat. Is it really a Baptist gathering if you don't eat? No, it's not. Thank you. Typically, we have this great event and we put a lot of energy and we put in a lot of determination and a lot of focus to make sure we pull it off. And then we do the event. And usually most of the people that plan the event also help oversee it and run the event. And then what happens? The event, we finish up the event, and then what happens? Everybody goes home and doesn't clean up. Ouch! That's definitely not what I was going for, but may be true more times than we'd like to admit. We put in a hard work. We do what we need to do. We see it through, and then we rest. Why do we rest? Because we're tired. We're exhausted. Exactly. And then, you know, our intention is always, well, we'll take tomorrow off. We'll take it easy tomorrow. We'll recoup and we'll go. And tomorrow turns into the next day, into the next day, into the next day. And then before we know it, a couple weeks have gone by and a month has gone by and a season has gone by. And we realize We have never discussed how the big event went. We're just so glad it's over. Anyone ever been there? I saw 4 hands. I'm starting to feel a little odd. Joshua has just led the children of Israel out of the desert. They have declared war. The war is finished. The land is quiet. And they still haven't gotten around to divvying out their lands. There are 7 tribes that have no place to go home to rest. And the scary part is there doesn't seem to be any urgency for them to carve out their little section of land. They're happily content. And this is not what God has called them to. This is not what God has called Joshua to. They are becoming, while Manasseh wasn't content and he wanted more and more and more, here's the opposite side. The other seven tribes have become complacent. And usually with complacency comes laziness. Man, we worked really hard. I mean, this war's gone on at least 7 years. And before that, we had to march through the desert for 40. We've marched and we fought, and I'm just tired. And I was right there with you all along. I was right there on the front lines, and we were doing what we can. Now I just want to go home and go to bed. But the work wasn't finished. Not for Joshua, not for the 7 tribes. And I am sure those other tribes who had homes, if they were still around, they were probably not in a very good mood. I'm here. I have land way down yonder. It can be down yonder, can it? It's not always up yonder. It sometimes can be down. I am a Southern transplant, and I'm doing my best, and I love it. But sometimes I have been told that I might not use the jargon perfectly right. They want to go home too. They have children, they have spouses, they have houses that need tending to. But the job isn't finished. Here's where we start to see some leadership. Joshua says to the people of Israel, "How long will you put off going in and taking possession of the land which the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you? Provide me now 3 men, and I will send them out that they may set out and go up and down the land. They shall write a description of it with a view to their inheritances, and then come to me. They shall divide it in 7 equal portions." In my, I won't say 17 years of being a dad, because, the first couple years aren't nearly as demanding. When they can't walk and they can't talk, it's not nearly as difficult. But from the time that they get to be about, 4, 5, they get very mobile. Do y'all remember that, how mobile children can be? And they are a font of endless energy. They never wear down. Interestingly enough, children of about 4 to 10 share a lot in common with puppy dogs. They have an awful lot of energy also. And what I have learned in my many years is if you leave puppy dogs and children alone with all of this energy, they will find stuff to do. And the stuff that they will do is usually not what the parents would like for them to be doing. Now, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong or wicked or crazy. They just get involved in stuff. The one thing I wish I would have learned earlier as a young dad was, and this is going to sound horrible to everyone in here, and I'm sure my boys are just going to look at me like I'm nuts. I wish I would have treated my young sons a little more like I treated our dog. Now, I'm not crazy. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to pet them and, sit, boy, sit. I'm not saying that. But we took a really good approach with our young boxer. You exercise him and wear him out. Now, that required like 3 or 4 walks a day, each walk being 1 mile to 2 to 3 miles, because he just had all this energy. And then somewhere along the line, we got smart and we got a treadmill. And we put the dog on the treadmill and we let him run. It is amazing how much less trouble our Baxter got into when he was tired. When he put a good afternoon in on the treadmill, he would come either to the living room or my office, wherever someone was seated, and he would just flop there. He was tired. It was a good thing. He didn't break windows. He didn't eat boxes of donuts. He didn't steal dinner. He laid there. Yes, he did eat a full box of donuts. He did eat half of a lasagna at one point, and he has broken numerous windows because he had too much energy. Young kids can be that way. Whole lot of stories I could tell, but I'm going to spare you some of those. Because you've had children yourself. You know what kind of fun they can get into. And have you ever noticed if you don't wear out young people, they become terribly bored? And they let you know it like every 30 seconds. I'm bored. There's nothing to do. I'm bored. This is so boring. I'm sure I did it at one point in my life too. But when you are bored, you tend to get involved in stuff you should not get involved in. Sometimes it's just complaining. Their territory is bigger than mine. We're a great people. We should have been given more. We already heard that from Manasseh. Joshua has learned and he is ready to implement a change. He tells the 7 remaining tribes, give me 3 guys. Now, I'm sure it wasn't just any 3 guys at random, because no tribe would send out crazy Uncle Joe. We all got one. No one's going to send him out to do anything important because, well, he's crazy Uncle Joe. They give 3 guys, and they are going to take care of the rest of the territory from each of the tribes. So we have 21 men going out, and they are putting them to the march again. Not only are they marching, they're surveying the land, and they're taking notes, and they're to come back to Joshua and tell him what's fair. See, we know they're Baptists. He just put a survey committee together. But you see, there's more than just wearing them out. He is getting buy-in from the heads of the tribes. Because don't you kid yourselves. If your property's at stake, you want to make sure the most qualified, the bestest person is out there taking care of your business. He's wearing them out. He's getting them to buy in. He is requiring action from the children of Israel. Before this, Joshua was doing it all by himself. He's the one that carved out Judah. He's the one that carved out the northern kingdoms of Joseph's sons. Moses had taken care of the 2 tribes east of the Jordan. Now he is saying, folks, you've seen how this has been done. Manasseh sort of cooperated. Well, they didn't really cooperate. But Manasseh was sort of in the process of developing his territory. It's time for you to take the ball and run with it. Now, we don't hear the grumbling. We don't hear from these tribe leaders. We don't hear from the tribes. But I'm sure on some levels they're like, what did we get ourselves into now? And on other levels they're probably like, oh, this is great. We can make a difference in our community. We have some ability to do something. You know, it's supposed to be the same way with God's church. He brings His people together in these little organisms. We call them churches. Why do I say organisms? Because the church isn't the bricks and the wood. The church are the souls. It's you, it's me, it's him, it's her. And He brings us together because God knows we need each other. And the picture is incomplete if any of us are missing. Now, I hope this doesn't surprise or shock anyone. He does not bring us together to sit back and say, oh man, it's been a long journey. Oh man, I'm tired. Golly gee, I just want to go home and go to bed. He brings us together to energize and excite and release us. Now, what's He release us to? The work He's planned for us. Here, they are released, the children of Israel are released to survey the land, to proportion it, and to move in, take up roots, get solid. He has brought us here. Not per se to plant roots and never move, but to come, get energized, and go home and make a difference in lives. Pastor, whose lives? Anyone's lives. Spouses, children, parents, grandparents, nieces, nephews. Are you ready for this? Crazy Uncle Joe. But pastor, that's hard work. I don't know how to do that. That's fine. That's why we come together as an organism. When we don't know something, we ask. Pastor, I have absolutely no idea how to talk to my neighbor. Okay, why not? Well, because I don't know him. Well, here's a good first step. Hi, my name's Jack. I know we've lived here 20 years across from each other, but we've never talked, and I really don't understand why. You'd be amazed how well that can work. Do you remember how easy it was to make friends when you were wee little? You just go to the park and you just walk up to someone and you start playing. My boys would do that, and they'd come back to us, and we'd say, well, what's the name of your friend? I don't know. They didn't even care to know the names. It didn't matter. They were playing ball, and they were all playing, and they were laughing and having fun. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Well, I shouldn't say we. Sometimes I overcomplicate things. And I'm guessing I'm not alone. Well, I ran into this guy at Kroger the other day, and he looked all right. He looked normal enough. Didn't introduce myself, didn't talk to him. Why didn't I talk to him? Well, I don't know him. He's a stranger. Yeah, I don't have any little ones because we're not encouraging little ones to walk up and start talking to strangers. But you know what? It's all right to say hi. It's all right to give a smile. It's all right to introduce yourself and make friends. It's amazing how easy it can be to make friends. Had my Challenger inspected about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I made a friend. We were waiting there for hours. You know how inspections work. They're never as quick as you think. I made a friend. He walked in. He was wearing a Philadelphia Eagles cap. I know that's just painful to some ears. It also had that world champion across the front, and he was all proud of that. And started talking about that, and we moved on to everything under the world. We covered all of the problems of the world, and we solved most of them. Of course, no one took us seriously or listened other than he and I. It wasn't that hard. When we talk, folks usually return the conversation. We can make a difference. He tells us that the Levites have no portion again, for the priesthood of the Lord is their heritage. And the other groups that already have their properties, they are eliminated from this gathering as well. And we see in verse 8 where the men of the tribes bought into the vision, and you know what they did? They went out and they surveyed the land. They did it. And they came back and they ended up divvying it out, and the people got their homes to go home to and to rest and relax. Now, here are the important things to carry home from this. Joshua recognized the way he was doing it before wasn't working for the children of Israel. There was grumbling, there was murmuring, there was the, he likes them better than us. That's why they got that property. He was calling all the shots. The folks felt like they weren't a part of the process. I don't know about you, but I hate not being part of processes. Especially when it directly involves me. If you're in leadership and things aren't going well, this is at home, this is at work, this is here, if you aren't succeeding, if you aren't accomplishing what you think needs accomplished, you know what a great strategy is? Ask the people that are working with you and for you, why aren't we accomplishing this? You might be amazed at what they tell you. Might be simple. Joshua heard Manasseh, even though Manasseh was probably just trying to be a pain in Joshua's gluteus maximus. He listened, he heard, and he critiqued it. Not out loud to himself. And he said, you know what? Even though he's trying to be a pain, there's some truth here. I wonder what would happen if we allowed those who are taking the property to play a role in divvying it out. Less headaches for Joshua, first of all. Let folks play a role. But they need your blessing. They need you to be confident enough to say, you can do this. And take a step back. Trust in those around you and working with you. So let's face it, if the only ideas ever came just to one person, how sad would our organizations be? How little would we accomplish? Now, if you're not in leadership, but you play on a team, I am going to try and phrase this very carefully. Be honest, be open, and try not to be a pain in the gluteus maximus of the person that you report to. It's so much easier to hear good information when it's not brought to you as, you are an idiot and I'm going to straighten you out. What do you think would happen if we ran the meeting in this fashion? Usually most people won't get all excited and say, I don't know. And then, when you put in your input, buy in. When you're asked to do something, do it. Get involved. Play a role. Stuff got accomplished. They got property, they got homes, and they were able to glorify God because His promise didn't fail. But God always calls His people to fulfill His plan. Church, are you a good leader? Do you hear people? Do you listen? Do you follow up? Do you help? See, that's good leadership. Bad leadership is the person that stands up there and says, you'll do it this way, because they're so afraid of anything else. Church, are you a good follower? Sometimes we think it's easy to lead, but following, Do you do what you say you're going to do? Do you do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability? Are you willing to work hard and be worn out? See, the flip side, poor followership, shows itself in, he doesn't like me very much, so I'm not going to do anything. Well, Crazy Uncle Joe's his favorite, so we'll let Crazy Uncle Joe do it, and let's see how far that gets him. You know what, I'll follow you, but I am going to follow you from a distance. And the distance is so wide that you can't see where anyone's going. God has called us to be on mission with Him. That means that He has asked us to reach out and do whatever we can to introduce people to His Son, Jesus. That's not quite as concrete, that's not as defined as surveying land, but that is the task that God has given us. And there's 1,000,002 different ways we can do it. There are hundreds of ways that Bethlehem can do it. So I ask too, why are we waiting to do what God has already given us? This morning, as our musicians come, I want you to search your heart, search your mind, search your soul, and see what is God asking you to do. Not what is God asking the person seated next to you to do, not what is God asking the leadership to do, not what is God asking Pastor Jack or John or Brother John to do? What is God laying on my heart? Pray about it and see what God is going to bring before us to make His name great here in North Chesterfield. Won't you stand? Won't you sing? And won't you pray?